Hello, everyone. My name is Coach Jess, and I am the CEO and Program Director for Lexia Learners. I also own I Am Not Dumb Inc. And I'm here today to talk to you guys about the pain of handwriting because I've had a lot of questions as of late about handwriting issues. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So first, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So my mother was diagnosed with dyslexia in the 40s, but I was not. I was actually just told I had a reading disability, but never identified until I self-diagnosed myself after I started tutoring my own children, and I discovered that I too was dyslexic. So the picture here is of my family, and my husband and 3 of my 4 children all have dyslexia. My son with the green hair has profound dysgraphia, and the 2 kids with the long curly hair have severe and profound dyslexia. The 3 of them all have some degree of dyscalculia. We've got about 5 other neurodiversities between the 6 of us. So this is where my dedication to learning more about neurodiversities began. I started tutoring my own kids back in 2011, and that was all I had ever planned on doing. But then I started meeting other people who experienced dyslexia, and they asked me to tutor their kids as well. So I continued to do tutoring for other people. And am I alive? Because I don't see myself moving. Do you guys see me? Can someone chime in? Is anyone there? Let me know. Hopefully. Okay, well, hopefully this is recording. Okay, now I see myself moving. Okay, cool. Anyway, so I just started out planning on helping my own kids, and then found that other people needed help as well, and they asked me to tutor their kids, and so I started tutoring other people's kids. And then I just had so many students that I couldn't handle it myself, and so I started hiring other tutors. And so at this point, this is actually my last year tutoring, and I am training my staff of amazing tutors to work with kids in the various different areas so that I can focus more on being a service to the community and be on time for my Facebook Lives. Because I just finished tutoring at 5 o'clock, and then my live was supposed to be at 5 o'clock. So anyway, but we will move on. And Nix, if you could turn to the next video. I don't know, maybe not. Okay, there we go. So why does Lexia Learners exist? Lexia Learners exists to make life easier for other families, because my kids, we struggled for 10 years to figure out what was going on with my daughter. And that was really hard. And so I can totally relate when other people are like pulling out their hair, not knowing what's going on or what to expect. And so when we help families, that makes it easier for other people. And it makes families happier because, as I'm sure you are all aware, when your child's struggling and you're trying to help them with homework, it becomes a battle and you're pulling out your hair. And so Also, it builds stronger communities, because if we can teach people how to read or spell or write or do math better, then these amazing, bright kids can go out into the world and make a difference. So that's why we are here. Okay, so we help people with dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and similar brain-based learning differences. And why is that on the wrong slide? So, oh, it's not, I'm seeing the wrong thing. Sorry. Okay, so dyslexia is difficulty with words. Dyscalculia is difficulty with numbers. Dysgraphia is difficulty with writing. And it's important to know what the definition is, because, like I said, my family has about 8 different neurodiversities. And actually, one of my kids has all of the 8 neurodiversities. And so it tends to be that it affects, that there are a lot of different learning differences that kind of are comorbid. And so they overlap a lot, and we may not know, if we don't know what the definition of these things are, we don't know which it is that's causing the different things. So literally, dys means not, and lexia is words. So that's difficulty with reading words, with writing words, with saying words. And with dyscalculia, it's difficulty with math. With sometimes for people with dyscalculia, it's like a foreign language for them. So they just can't comprehend how to do math. And graph means to write. So dysgraphia is difficulty with writing. Now we're going to talk about the pain of handwriting, which really is not, it's not dyslexia. And so it's something that can often be a delay with people with dyslexia, but it can also be a delay for people who don't have dyslexia. So I just kind of want to point that out, so that people are aware. And so pencil grip struggles is really the biggest issue for people with the handwriting problems. So it's a critical foundation skill, and so we need to address that as soon as possible, because if we can help our kids learn to write better or learn to develop that skill, then they won't struggle as much and it won't be painful. And they can learn as early as age 3 how to correctly hold their pencil. So if they have an awkward grip of the pencil, then it's going to cause cramping and pain and fatigue, which is going to lead to frustration. So if possible, you want to correct it using pencils, or even just if they're using crayons because they're really young. And you can work on the developing gross motor skills with music or movement, dancing, helping them with their balance, and definitely with fine motor skills. And ways you can do that is with cutting with scissors, drawing, rolling out Play-Doh, stringing beads, pouring liquid, like when kids are in preschool and they're at the sand table or the water table and they're pouring the liquid into the table, you can have them pour water back and forth in a cup or into the sink or the bathtub. Those are great ways of developing fine motor skills. And if you see that your child has an awkward grip, start working on correcting it right away. So Lexia Learners is going to be offering a handwriting class. So if you wanted to do a small group class or a private tutoring, the teacher will integrate digital class with the students doing practice work independently on paper at home, so that they can really work on correcting it. But it's definitely something that your family can do at home as well, using some of the tips that I just provided. And it's really important to encourage good posture. So having them sit up straight and positioning the paper at an angle. So when someone is left-handed, their left, the corner of their paper, the left corner should be up at an angle. And if they're right-handed, then it's the opposite. The corner of the paper should be higher on the right end of the paper, so that they're not holding the paper straight in front of them. And so it's easier to write at an angle. And then doing multisensory activities, which those are definitely beneficial for people with the 3 DISs. And multisensory activities are really beneficial for anyone who is learning how to do things or learning, because we don't just have one way of learning. And so if you're incorporating multi-senses, they are more apt to retain the information. I have a video that I recorded a couple months ago on multisensory techniques and teaching. So you guys can check that out if you want to learn more about what multisensory is. So pencil grip is really important. And this was copied, oops, I spelled that wrong. This was copied from Handwriting Without Tears. And so for beginners, you want to avoid special grips or devices and focus more on developing their hand skills. And then if it doesn't develop, or they're already older students, the pencil grips can be really helpful. And I'll show you a couple of different types in the later slide. When they're pressing really hard, that can be make it more painful. And for whatever reason, kids who struggle with writing will tend to put more pressure on their writing and press down really hard. You could try dry erasers, crayons, felt tip pens, mechanical pencils, invisible ink, and markers if pencils are bothersome. My youngest son only used dry erase markers and a dry erase board for the first like 2 or 3 years I was homeschooling him. And we took pictures of what he did on the dry erase board to provide that as writing samples for his proof of doing writing. And if they press too soft, then you want to kind of do the opposite. You want to try a soft lead pencil so that it's darker, or use carbonless copies to see if the mark goes through to the yellow side. I don't even know if those exist anymore, but that's a recommendation that they have with Handwriting Without Tears. And then if there's an awkward wrist position, you definitely want to demonstrate it to them. And we have a video that will be coming up, which demonstrates how you should hold the pencil. And a slanted surface. You could use a clipboard. My kids had clipboards we used to carry around with them so that they could do work in the car. And so that's also helpful at home. They can just have a clipboard and sit on the couch and write on the clipboard. So you want to try different things and try not to frustrate them, and so that it's a more pleasant experience for them. Okay, so here's some common ineffective pencil grips. If your child is struggling, they may hold their pencil one of these ways, and none of these are the way you want them to hold the pencil. So these are the two ways that is ideal for holding the pencil. So we have the tripod grip, which is the thumb and the pointer finger. You're going to hold it with the thumb and the pointer finger. And you can do that with your left hand if you're left-handed as well. And then the other one is the quadropod, which is 4 fingers together to hold the pencil. And so those are the ideal ways of holding your pencil. And so with a quadropod, your 4 fingers are resting together to form the grip, and then the pencil rests on the ring finger. And again, you want to demonstrate this for your child so that they see what they're supposed to be doing. And poor pencil grip can cause pain and fatigue, cause frustration, and you will see if your child writes an inappropriate size, letter size formation for their age, that can be a good indicator that they have poor pencil grip. If none of the techniques that I'm showing are helpful, then an occupational therapist would be who you would want to get a recommendation or who you would want to see to get recommendations of some other solutions, and they can give them some particular exercises to do. So coming up next is the video. And so give it a second to start.
Ah, what a grip. It's tight enough so the pencil doesn't fall out of my hand, and loose enough so that my fingers can move it. Best of all, I'm comfortable. It didn't develop naturally. I had to learn it. It took repetition and practice. Let me tell you about how I learned this grip. I used to have an awkward grip. I thought I was in control, but it was way too tight. Ouch! My aching knuckles! Then I tried the standard grip. I hold the pencil with my thumb and index finger. The pencil rests on my middle finger. I learned how to get my pencil in the correct position with the flip the pencil trick. Let me show you. Place the pencil on a table, pinch the pencil with your thumb and index finger. Lift it up and flip it around until the eraser points back towards your shoulder. Voila, the standard grip. I also did pencil pickups. I pick up my pencil, make sure I'm holding it correctly, and then I drop it. And then I pick it up again, make sure I'm holding it correctly, and then I drop it again. I did pencil pickups lots of times. I had fun with my new grip. I scribbled, wrote my name, practiced writing, and eventually it became my regular grip. What a grip. One more thing, we're all made differently. So if the standard grip doesn't work for you, then you can try an alternate grip. Here's one. Hold the pencil with the thumb and both the index and middle finger. The pencil rests on the ring finger. By the way, all these grips work for lefties too. Peace out. Peace out.
Okay, so I hope you find that video helpful, and it could be really helpful to show to your child too, so that they can see how to hold the pencil and also have fun with it. So these are some pencil grips for older students. Again, if you have a younger child who's between 3 and 6, I wouldn't try using the pencil grip. If your 7-year-old is having a hard time learning the techniques that I just showed you, then you could purchase pencil grips. And here's some links for these pencil grips that you could purchase. And there's so many different kinds of pencil grips, so you can see what works best for your child. When my son was struggling and he was about 12, and actually his art teacher had asked me to get him pencil grips, I bought both of these kinds. I didn't know about this one. This one's pretty neat because it forces, especially for someone who holds a pencil like totally wrong like this forces them to put their hand down, and they're gripping the little dolphin in their fingers, so they're holding it in place. But this can be good to get the fingers in habit of where they need to go, and also this same idea gets the fingers in the habit of where to go. And so those can be fun ways of getting in the habit. But if your child's younger, you want to try not to use pencil grips and just teach them how to correctly hold their hands and be patient. And then here are some homemade pencil grips. So this is just a bunch of rubber bands that are on the pencil. And then this is Play-Doh that was formed onto the pencil. And then this is a rubber band that's twisted around. And personally, I think this would be uncomfortable. But if your child doesn't have sensory issues, it may not be a big deal. And then here are some Play-Doh activities that can be helpful in strengthening the hand muscles, because sometimes the hands are just really tired because the hand muscles are not strengthened yet. And so that's when you want to really have them do a lot of other exercises before you focus on writing. And you guys can play this video again and pause it so that you can see the various things that are suggested here. So, does your child experience some of these common pencil grip issues? Thumb wraps around on the top of the index finger, thumb tucked in and under the index finger, their fist doing the fisted grip, fingers splayed out, all gripping the pencil. That's kind of the same thing as a fist grip, I believe. Pencil pointing straight up in the air, awkward wrist position, pressure problems such as too hard or too soft, difficulty with big pencils. Then, you know, these suggestions would be really helpful. And if you want to find out more about our services, our focus is on reading and spelling tutoring. However, we want to help people who have neurodiversities, different neurodiversities. So we're constantly learning new techniques and new programs and providing new classes or new private tutoring opportunities to people so that everyone can grow up to be successful and have a confidence. And so our website is here, and you can email us, and our Facebook group, if you're not already a member, definitely want you to join that. And if you have questions about tutoring, or if you just have some questions that I can maybe answer, and there's no pressure either way. You know, if your child is not a good fit for us, you are not going to be at all pressured for tutoring or our classes. We want to have this phone call to determine if your child's a good fit, because we want success. And if your child's not a good fit for our program, your child's not going to be successful. And that is definitely not our goal. So, you know, feel free to schedule a phone consultation, or if you'd like a homeschool consultation, that is just to kind of get a feel for what you're looking for. The homeschool consultations are an hourly rate, and that is to help give parents confidence to homeschool, because what I found is a lot of parents feel like they don't have what it takes to homeschool, and anyone can have what it takes to homeschool as long as they love and care for their child, because you'll figure out ways to find the time, find the way to pay for material and things like that. And so that's the point of the homeschool consultation. It's usually only a couple of hours with most families, but some families want like much more extensive support, and that's available as well. So please feel free to contact us. And questions, if you have any questions, please share them on Facebook, and Nix is available to pass those on to me. And then I'm going to answer some questions that we have already received. So Amy in our group asked, let me see if I can see it better. Nope, that's not going to do it. Okay, Amy in our group said, I have a 10-year-old son, and for the first time, he told me how much he dislikes holding a pencil, and she cried. And she knows that he avoids writing, but she never knew why. So she didn't understand. And hopefully this video gave her some clarity as to what's going on. And she asked if it is dysgraphia. And I've had him tested through the school, and the results were he didn't qualify for an IEP, although I guess it says he's on a 1st to 4th grade level and had two first year teachers. There was no writing support. He's in 5th grade and he's fully remote now. So, the struggle, the pain of the pencil isn't really as much dysgraphia as possibly that he has an awkward pencil grip. Dysgraphia tends to be more like a blockage of ideas. And it's a lot easier to fix the pencil grip problem than the blockage of the ideas, taking them from your mind and putting them on paper. And so, hopefully, Amy, you can try some of these ideas with your son, or if you wanted to sign up for a class, we could work with him rather than you having to work with him, because I understand as a mom who tutored my own child how much harder it is to work with your own child than it is to work with someone else's kid. But yeah, so if he has difficulty getting his thoughts on paper, that's more likely dysgraphia than the handwriting challenges. And maybe him being fully remote would be easier because he could type. And I have found with us doing fully remote tutoring now that our students are really picking up typing quite quickly. Students who started back in April who didn't know how to type at all are just, they're excellent typers now, and I've seen that in all of them. So, typing is something that they're going to use so much more anyway, but you really want them to have a nice foundation in being able to write, because sometimes you just have to jot something down, or you need to sign something, or occasionally we can't be on our computer or our phones. But these days there's so many more options to type or dictate information onto your phone or onto your computer, so that you don't have to handwrite as frequently as people did in the past. And then Nicole had a question, and she shared a picture of her stepdaughter's typing, or sorry, her stepdaughter's handwriting. And so her stepdaughter is only 6. So I really wouldn't be too concerned at 6. I mean, yes, the average student has more control by age 6, but you can definitely use these techniques with your stepdaughter and help her to improve on her writing skills. And she's still young, and it'll be a lot easier for her to gain control of her handwriting. So this N is either a backwards N or it's just a capital N because it starts off, this one looks like a capital N and then it kind of gets sloppier and just kind of looks backwards, but I think it's probably that she started getting tired. Something I would like to share when I first saw this that came to mind is that that people, oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, that kids who have dyslexia, copy work is not ideal for them. You really don't want them to do copy work because copy work is hard. It's hard for them to look up at something and then remember and write it down. Because there was another sample that Nicole sent, and that sample was a sentence that was copy work, and so that is not a preferred thing to do. It would be better for you to dictate the sentence to her and then have her repeat the sentence back to you and then write it down. That is much easier on a dyslexic person. So if you try that, that might be easier. And then definitely use some of the suggestions I've given. You can have her use other tools rather than pencil to paper. You're homeschooling her now, so she doesn't have to turn in any papers. And if she does have to turn in papers, just take a picture of it. Also, this says sight words. If she is dyslexic, sight words are very hard for dyslexic people. So, so that's something to keep in mind. You're asking her to do a lot of challenging things on one piece of paper. So maybe back up a little and not put as much pressure on her or yourself with as much challenging activities, because kids who are homeschooled, they don't have to stick to such a regimented order of things like traditional schooled kids do. And so that's my recommendation about that. And reversals, there was also a question about reversals, and I shared, or actually Nick shared a link to my video about reversals, because that is very often a totally different thing than dyslexia, although people commonly think that it is dyslexia, but most dyslexic people don't have a reversal issue. It's more of a processing issue or a vision issue. So a vision therapist can help with that if when she's after third grade, she still continues. So she's still young and still has time to for you to work with her on these things yourself without having to start going outside and seeking medical care or outside help for these matters. So I hope that was helpful. And if there aren't any questions, then I'll see you guys next week. And our topic next week is, I don't remember offhand, but Nix will be posting that up in the group and on the page really soon. So, so you guys can see what next week's topic is. Otherwise, you guys have a great evening and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.